Well, good evening, comrades. I want to welcome you for today's engagement. As it has always been scheduled on Fridays, today's Twitter space, we shall discuss the key steps which Ugandans must consider in organizing an economic non-cooperation. Previously, we have discussed a series of Economic Noncooperation Direct Actions, how they can break the pillars of Uganda's operation, how they work, and we went further to examine the economic pillars of Uganda's operation. Previously, we looked at a series of them. Our speakers who are yet to join us, Comrade Oko, Comrade Awad. We have had a series of speakers, including Comrade Nana, among others, who have shared tremendously about regarding economic non-cooperation. We must remind ourselves, as we have always been discussing here, that our oppression or the oppressors are only able to keep their grip onto power if we continue to cooperate. And their power to oppress us or their power to continue running the country, they are only able to achieve that if we consent. And our consent comes in different ways, consenting in a political way, consenting in a social way, consenting in an economical way. So it is high time we discuss and analyze this. And we will not just stop at discussing and analyzing this, but to take an extra mile to organize strategic non-violence using the knowledge that we have acquired here. So our essence is not to just simply discuss and we leave the ideas and the suggestions herein. We always take an extra mile to make sure that we can share them through various platforms, via Facebook, via this very Twitter, via YouTube, such that other people who maybe have not got a chance to join us here can listen in at a later stage. But also we are taking a great attention to this detail that it should not just stop on the rhetoric, but we must take an extra mile to organize a strategic non-violent direct actions using the knowledge that we have discussed here. And we believe that the discussions which we carry on here, the knowledge can go on disseminating, that even if we are having campaigns running, the people can really understand the essence and the effectiveness or the possible impact of the campaigns which we are running. And that's the reason as to why we chose to do mass education, and we are having different initiatives on different forums to carry on mass education of the people about civil resistance. Yeah, but now we are examining the aspects where our own silence or our own behavior contributes to the stay of the regime or the oppressors to maintain their grip on power. So today, our focus is on listing or outlining the steps which the ordinary Ugandans can undertake to organize an economic non-cooperation campaign, or to organize an economic non-cooperation actions wherever they are. And we believe by the end of this, we shall have the capacity really to launch one in that aspect, that we shall not stop at the rhetoric, but we are going to put it into practice, that maybe other people can join it along the way as we shall continue with the series of the discussions. This shall ably inform us of what we have discussed, what we need to redo, what we need to undo, and what we need to include in to make sure that we push the struggle in this direction. So I want to welcome you all who have joined in. Chibirige Samuel, you're welcome. Namarakere, you're welcome. Comrade Awad, you're welcome. Comrade Julius Karonde, you're welcome. Comrade Awad is among our speakers of the day. To our people who join in, the participants, you always keep the questions, the submissions, and you bring it as we move on. In case you have anything you would wish to share with us about the topic, you can always keep it and you share it with us as we move on along the way within the discussion. It is normally an interactive discussion where we entertain different views and various school of thoughts to amalgamate them such that we can move in the same direction of nonviolent direct actions. So I believe most of you have been part of the previous discussions, and your contributions have been tremendous in informing the subsequent topics as we have been discussing. And we are glad that we are coming almost to an end of the discussion about the economic non-cooperation. And we believe that this discussion now must materialize into various actions that are propagating our struggle against the oppression which we encounter. Yeah, so I want to invite Comrade Awad. Comrade Awad, I've sent you an invitation to speak. Please kindly do accept it. Comrade Awad is still being disturbed with the network. Other comrades, Comrade is still will be joining us a bit late, and later on, I know Comrade Auma will also be joining us. Comrade Awad, I've sent you an invitation to speak. Please, you can accept it and you introduce yourself as we shall kick off with our discussion tonight. Comrade Awad, the floor is yours.
My names. Yeah, sorry for the technical glitches that have always bothered me this side, but now I think I'm connected. Yeah, good evening, hosts, co-hosts, speakers, and the listeners, and all those who are following us. Yeah, the topic that is for discussion is Ugandans must consider in organizing an economic non-cooperation. According to experience, some time back, there was a political activist, the head of Uganda Democratic Freedom Movement, Dr. Kingi. One time he listed all those companies that belong to the people who are either in the regime or are connected to the people on the regime. And he made that effort because he wanted people to understand the sources of income that actually support these people to dominate Ugandans. It kept on circulating on social media, but not so many people made use of that information. I think we can again look for that information and bring it back and make use of it. Away from that, as far as economic non-cooperation in Uganda is concerned, we are still not yet at that level whereby we can start, exercising non-economic cooperation, we need to build our capacity in so many other ways first, before we get to economic non-cooperation. Why do I say that? And it's because I've already brought some information where the non-cooperation idea was hatched earlier, but it wasn't made use of. That means that the people of Uganda had not yet appreciated that kind of non-violent activity. It's not yet late to bring it back on board, but we need to see how it comes in and when do we have to use it. I think what we have to do now is to create more awareness about the the deep hole in which the regime has put the country and the citizens. Yes, the citizens are aware, but I believe that the information that they have is not connected well with them. It has not yet really connected well with the citizens. Let them have a connection with the citizen, what is going wrong and how it affects the citizens. Then from there, I think we shall start identifying those companies that are owned by the regime, those people who serve in the regime, and those who work with them. Then from there, I think we shall actually take the path of non-cooperation. Nevertheless, what in case now we say we are already there, how do we go into it? I think that is what we are supposed to be discussing now. We need to identify companies like because the advantage we have is that not so many of those investments are owned by people who are not part of the regime or are connected to the regime. Especially, I would even say the first 100 companies that pay high taxes, you will find that the majority of them, either the shareholders, the majority of them are part of the regime or connected to the regime. So now how do we start involving the people to say that please stop buying this or stop buying that, stop buying this? Yeah, that one is also another step that we have to take. Now I hear what has happened between across our in our neighborhoods, that is in Kenya. I hear that they are already trying to take our milk here, the Lato, to sell there, and it's causing already confusion. And they want Brooklyn milk to be like to be suffocated, because the cost of producing milk in Kenya is very high and it makes it expensive. And in Uganda it's cheaper, so when you take it to Kenya it's going to be cheap, and Brookside milk will not be sold. So now we as activists who are promoting or proponents of economic non-cooperation, we should start getting involved with those Kenyans who are pro Brookside and see how we can really work together to see to it that we fail Lato from going there. And that is a clear sign that Lato is already one of the items that we have to do what? To see how we decampaign the selling of laptop, both in our country and in the neighborhood. I think for the time being, I can stop there and some other person can make a contribution. Thank you.
Well, you've cited about Dr. Tinji having efforts to declaring the companies and the firms which really support or sponsor the regime, and it displayed this information, but people didn't take it. I wanted you, meanwhile, to highlight on what could have been the cause for failure for people to pay attention to what was there by then. And when you try to compare the situations by then, the times of Dr. T, it's covered.
Yes. I think it was like a random campaign. It was not planned. I think it was around the time when he wanted to come to the country to be as a presidential candidate. And I think that was one of the tools he wanted to use to break the ground as a presidential candidate then. But because his coming was not successful, then that campaign which he wanted to use, I think was also the people who were going to make use of it as a tool. I think they also became lax, and I think not any other person picked interest in it to promote it further. But nevertheless, that's why I'm saying that since now we are focused on, moving in a particular direction to ensure that we climax into a successful, non-violent, peaceful action or demonstration. We need to make use of such information, because we shall dust it, or we might make use of the information as it is, improve upon it, and make use of it when the time is really right, or we may start using it in a pilot manner. We try to, now that, as I've said already, there is a fight between Brookside and Hato in Kenya. We may take advantage of this to use it as a pilot to see how the non-cooperation will work for us. I think that's what I can say.